this over as he's bowling again. Round the wicket to Whiteley. That's a Yorker leg side. Pennington doesn't look particularly happy with that.
Just the second wide of the innings. Been no balls. I was listening to a conversation earlier about the amount of no balls bowled in that World Test Championship at Lords against South Africa and Australia, and commentators saying that, you know, by and large they've been eradicated in T20 cricket because the free hit is so costly.
Pennington in, gives himself a bit of room. Whiteley, he's followed him nicely. There is the quick seamer, just going to be 1 to square leg. Takes Whiteley on to 14 off 7. Even I can do that math. He's striking at 200. I like that. I like when it's simple maths for mine.
Yeah. But yeah, make the punishment fit the crime. If it was a free hit in red ball cricket as well, maybe there wouldn't be so many no balls in that.
Back of the hand slow ball dug out by Guest, but it's just going to be a single. I wouldn't mind seeing that, you know. I really wouldn't mind seeing the free hit in the red ball game.
Do you know what I'd like? I'd like the bowlers to respect the line and not overstep.
Oh, do you know what really irritates me? In the winter, when seamers just forget what their run-up is.
Yes.
And they go, well, I always bowl no balls indoors.
Yeah.
And I think, well, I'm not standing there when you're bowling off 18 yards. Pennington in, low full toss, whipped. Look, quite fortunately, straight to fine leg. It's going to be a single to conclude the end of Dylan Pennington's third over. It takes Falcons to 158 for 5. 3 overs remaining for the Outlaws. Dangerous Ross Whiteley at the crease with Brooke Guest. It's the sound of the trumpet. Blows rather loudly, actually. Daniel Sams is just giving his cap to the umpire. Sorry, Dave.
Yeah, just 1 or 2 messages coming in. Alistair wondering why Notts have continually had the problems bowling in the power play this tournament. And Mark the Mod's in touch. One of their regulars always gets in touch. He's following from Sevenoaks in Kent. It's very sultry down here. Expecting a bit of rain in the south of the country. It's sultry here, isn't it? The cricket's good. It's enjoyable. We don't know which way this one's going to go. 158 for 5. Daniel Sams coming back into the attack. His first 2 overs went for 19. Can Notts pick up a couple of wickets here?
Whiteley on strike. Great take by Tom Moores there. It was a perfect Yorker from Daniel Sams. Tom Moores diving away to his right behind the stumps there. Does well. So 5 more of those, Dave. Hey?
He's got all the tricks in his locker.
It's pretty unplayable, that delivery, isn't it? I mean, it's right on the crease, that.
He's trying to second guess what Ross Whiteley's going to do, and Ross Whiteley's trying to pick up what Sams is trying to deliver to him.
So once more wide delivery, pumped down the ground by Ross Whiteley. He's tried to throw that one wide as Daniel Sams, but Ross Whiteley has just stepped across, bopped him. He's got a long on in play, but he's beaten him just slightly straight of the man out there.
If the first ball was a moral victory for Daniel Sams, the second one was certainly decisively put away in favour of Ross Whiteley. Once again with minimal backlift, he's hit it many a mile.
It's pure striking, isn't it? Almost baseball swing, that one. So, .6. That one's a wide delivery. I think had Whiteley not have hit, it might have been given a wide, but going to scamper through for a single.
But eyes will have lit up as he saw it. He won't have thought, oh, I can only get the very bottom of my bat on this one. He'll have thought, oh, that's out there for hitting, won't he?
Yeah, and I think when you've hit the previous ball for 6, I don't think you're looking to leave one for a wide, are you? You're thinking boundary. So, Brooke Guest, the right-hander, 17 off 14. I think he'd like to get in on the action as well as Sams comes in. Back of the hand, slow ball. Mis-executed there from Sams. A bit short and down the leg side, and Brooke Guest just helps it on his way. It's 4 runs added to his total. So he started with a perfect Yorkers, Daniel Sams, and he's safe to say struggled a little bit since then. Must be hard, genuinely, when you've got so many fantastic deliveries and you can bowl so many variations. Being so clear at the top of your mark, which is one of his great skills, I'm sure. It's so well renowned for his ability to bowl variations. As that's a wide Yorker, and they're going to scamper through for one. But if you've got 4, 5, 6 variations, picking which one to bowl and really committing to it must be hard work.
Yeah. There's a lot of second guessing what the man at the other end is going to be doing.
So final ball of Sam's over. Whiteley is waiting. That's a full toss, but he's not got all of it as Whiteley, and it's just going to drop short of the fielder out a long on, almost plinked to the man. His eyes would definitely have lit up there, but he didn't quite get it, and he just looks at his bat. So it's the end of the over from Daniel Sams. Derbyshire 171 for 5, 2 overs remaining for the Outlaws. Good bowl here.
Notts couldn't chase 175 on Wednesday here against Yorkshire. It's a different attack, different day, but again it's going to be a real challenge for the Notts top order. Need somebody else to contribute, really. A couple of 50s from Joe Clark, one from Jack Haynes, and that's it.
Dylan Pennington comes back in. That's well bowled, just cramped up Whiteley and take a single into the leg side.
So 11 balls left, 172 for 5.
Guest waiting, Pennington in. That's a Yorker and it's snicked. Oh, he's edged it straight over slip. That's like a really straight third man, isn't it? In the ring. And it's gone straight over his head for 4.
Going to swish hard.
Well, quite.
He's got away with that one.
It's a decent delivery from Pennington, to be fair. He's missed his Yorker by not much at all.
It's really unforgiving outfield, isn't it?
So quick.
If it beats the fielder, it's gone.
Guess this time slaps that straight down the ground off Pennington, and the umpire's just waiting for confirmation as to what that is, and it's given us 4. So good batting from Brooke Guest. Only a little bit lucky with a delivery before, but there's no doubt about that one. He's cleared his front leg and slapped that straight down the ground. I think what the Derbyshire openers did show, though, is with how quick the outfield is, with how true the pitch is, you do get value from playing just good cricket shots. Hopefully Notts will have taken note of that. As Guest waits again, that's a beautiful wide Yorker from Dylan Pennington. There's not much Brooke Guest could have done with that one, so it's an important dot ball. Should be fine on time here, Notts. They've got 3 minutes to start the last over, and Pennington's got 2 balls left. Although his run up is about 35 yards, so it's taken a fair while, doesn't it? He's got long legs to walk back quickly. That's another beautiful Yorker. And Brooke Guest tosses his bat up in the air to catch it. Frustrated that he's missed that one.
Well, he's Notts' leading wicket taker in this season's competition with 9 wickets. He's taken a wicket in every single game. Just got 1 ball left of his allocation here. And he's got figures of none for 30. Needs to strike to keep that sequence going.
Final ball of Dylan Pennington's over. In he comes. Another wide Yorker, just slapped out. Deep third man does the work out there. So good finish. Oh, is that going to be overthrows? Good backing up in the end. It did take 5 of them, but they got the job done. Diving around there always makes me a bit nervous when you see 3 fielders throw themselves to the floor as the ball goes past the stumps, but just a single. So good end to the over from Dylan Pennington. Touch expensive at the start. He finishes 4 overs, none for 31. Quite a helpful single actually, because it keeps Ross Whiteley at the other end.
Yeah. 6 balls to go, 181 for 5.
Need Daniel Sams to finish, isn't it? You think he's going to use this slightly bigger leg side to his advantage here, as he comes to Brooke Guest. It's a slower ball at the back of hand. It's a wide ball.
It's hard enough anyway, but when you're bowling 7 and 8 ball overs, even harder. First ball's got away from him there. 182 for 5, still 6 to go.
Yeah, it's just come up on the speedometer. I'm not sure how accurate it is, but 65.9 miles per hour that delivery. So a slower ball.
Yeah.
But he is going to have to re-bowl that, unfortunately. As then he comes once more. That's a full toss. Guest can't get in, just hits it down to long on, who kind of scoops it into his chest and then manages to throw it in. Ross Whiteley, 5 games, averaging 36.5, so he's been going well as well. Unsurprisingly, he's gone well for the past while, hasn't he, to be honest?
Yeah.
He doesn't ever really not go well. He's one of those. You always know what you're going to get. Mr. Reliable. And he hits it a long way. As in comes Sams again. That's slashed into the offside beautifully by Ross Whiteley. Full delivery on the stumps. And Ross Whiteley's just held his shape and punched it through the covers. Touch of class about that one day, wasn't there?
Glorious stroke. That's the 50 partnership from just 29 balls. Ross Whiteley with 28 of them. Brooke Guest with the rest. It's a punishing shot. 187 for 5, still 4 balls left.
Another wide delivery. That one's hit out into the leg side. Running the first one hard, but they're not going to get back for the second. It's a sign of good form, isn't it, as well? With that leg side boundary to the left-hander being slightly shorter, but he's not just aiming there, is he? He's playing every ball on its merit. Very well to caress that one through the offside. So 3 balls remaining from Daniel Sams. Brooke Guest waits. Back of the leg delivery, pulled into the leg side, fielder no chance. That's another 4. Off pace, almost stuck in the wicket a bit, but Brooke Guest waited on it nicely and just smashed it into the leg side. Not much Cal Corner long on can do about that one.
No, it's quite a decent hit out to the rope on the Fox Road side, Hound Road side of the ground. But there's been plenty of shots in this innings that fielders just haven't been able to get anywhere near. Absolutely laced that one.
192 for 5, the Falcons. 2 balls remaining of this innings. Another short ball. Can't quite get that one. Brooke Guest just pulls it down to long on. So it's going to be Ross Whiteley who's going to have strike for this final ball. He's currently 29 off 15. A partnership of 59 off 32. Wonder if he's going to try and hide this. He's got his field relatively split. Long on cow. Deep square. Cover and long off. And as I say that, he's changed third man. So I wouldn't be surprised if this is wide Yorker or wide slower ball. Try and get him to hit to that bigger boundary. Although he did that pretty well about 3 balls ago, didn't he? So Sam's in. And it's a full toss. Went wide, full toss, smash for 6. That's a big hit to finish from Ross Whiteley. Momentum with Derbyshire at the end of that over. 199 for 5.
Well, we said as he came to the crease he can hit a long ball, and if he stayed there till the end, Derbyshire will get 200. Well, Notts will require 200. 199 for 5. The Falcons have finished on with some brutal hitting towards the end of the innings there. Brooke Guest at the other end has got a gallop on as well. 37 from 24 for him. And Ross Whiteley finishes on 35 from just 16. It's once again not exactly been masterclass from Notts in terms of the field or in terms of the bowlers. Calvin Harrison apart, 4 overs, 3 for 32 for the leg spinner. The other wicket takers, Rob Lord on debut, thought he did okay this evening, got the wicket of Samit Patel. His 4 overs costing 1 for 46. Liam Patterson-White only had 2 overs this evening, 1 for 16. The other bowlers, Dylan Pennington, 4 overs, none for 31. Matthew Montgomery had 1 over went for 18, a couple of drops in it as well. Lyndon James 1 over for 5. Daniel Sams 4 overs, none for 50 for the Falcons. Nye Donald 73 from 34 at the top, and then at the bottom there Brooke Guest 37 from 24 not out, and Ross Whiteley 35 not out from 16. Knots required 200, and it is a fast outfield. It's a good surface. They've got some very talented players, but this is certainly no gimme.
Okay, so that's the first innings done and dusted. Brett Hilton joins me once again. We were just sat there obviously waiting for the innings to end, and you were saying let's hope it's not a 6, so it's 200 to win, but that's what they got off the last ball. It makes it easy to remember. I was just saying to you that that's the pitch that we played Bears on game day 1, and that was about, I think we had to chase 226, so seems maybe 200's par potentially. What do you think to 199? Sorry.
Yeah, obviously it sounds like a lot of runs. You know, anything near that 200 mark always sounds quite scary and a lot of runs, but the dimensions here at Trent Bridge are always in a batter's favour. There's a lot of small areas. Obviously a very good pitch. The lights are on now, and that normally makes it a bit friendlier to bat under. You know, we've got the crowd here, we've got everything. We've got a very strong batting lineup, and like I say, Derby haven't won a game yet, so they'll be feeling the pressure. I think it's very gettable.
We talked at the start of the show earlier on about the power play and how it can change if you take wickets. We didn't take wickets. It's similar to how we were against Yorkshire just a couple of nights ago. But then Calvin Harrison comes on, first ball after the power play, takes a wicket. You mentioned to me, as we were watching the game, that you like Calvin in that role first off the power play. Why is that, and how important was that wicket?
Oh, it was massive. I mean, they got off to a flyer, really. I mean, Donald played well, and you know, he's a good striker of cricket ball, and he's done it twice against us. He did it in that game at their place as well. He got him off to a bit of a flyer, but Calvin's one of our more experienced, you know, short format cricketers, and he's got a bag of tricks. He's a leg spinner, and he's got all these different balls, and he's experienced. You know, and it's nice to see him just getting that wicket early and getting into his work and just doing what he can do.
And he also played a part in a big wicket as well by taking the catch of Donald, who I just said, you know, again, we were talking strike rate of 214, I think it was. When he lost his wicket, I think Derbyshire went 99 for 2. He got 73 of those 99 runs. So that was a very important wicket, bowled by Liam Patterson-White, and that kind of just shifted the momentum a little bit in our favour.
Yeah, like, you have to hold your hands up and say he played well, but getting that wicket there, like you say, was massive, because if he bats another 5 or 6 overs, all of a sudden it sort of looks like a score that might be too far away for you. But you know, look, people are allowed to play well. It's a good pitch. You know, that's what you pick your batters for, and Derby will pick him, hoping that he gets them off to a flyer like that, and then, you know, we dragged it back, and then they had a good little partnership at the end. But I think it probably finished up about where everyone would have expected it to finish up.
And I think that's easy. You mentioned about how batters are allowed to play well. Well, I think obviously we all look at ourselves, and obviously as a team, but batters are allowed to play well. Batters are going to score runs. There's going to be some players from the opposition that do well, and it's kind of realising that, isn't it? And you kind of sometimes have to say, well done, but we got him out before he could really maybe even shift into 3rd, 4th, 5th gear.
Yeah, like I say, it's a very good innings, but whether it's quite sort of winning innings or game-changing innings, maybe not quite, because he got out You know, he got 70 really quickly, but there was a lot of time left in the game that if he'd have battered deep into the game, then yeah, it would have been a proper match-winning innings maybe. But I'd say that everybody picks their team with people that they think are going to win games of cricket. You know, so Mickey Arthur over there is picking Donald because he thinks he's going to win in games of cricket. So just because we expect to win as Notts, you have to accept, like, there is other good players out there. You know, we don't only have the best players. Like, there are other players who are allowed to play well, and we just back ourselves to be better on most nights.
We spoke about Rob Lord making his debut this evening in T20. First wicket, Samet Patel. It's not a bad wicket to take as your first.
No, good wicket, good, and I'm sure he'll remember it as well, and he'll be able to embellish it as much as he wants of, you know, how good it is, Test cricketer and all these, whatever else he wants to add on to it. But it's more just the fact he's got that first game out of the way. He looked like he belonged out there, which is probably all you can ask for. You know, he threw himself around in the field, ran it hard, bowled as best as he could to a plan. And I say, as long as you don't look like a fish out of water, I think that that's a great debut.
Let's switch it now to obviously the chase. 200 is needed. What will Joe Clarke, Lyndon James, Jack Haynes, Freddie McCann, that kind of top four be thinking about? Obviously they've had many opportunity this campaign to chase a target down. Clarke got a 50 in the previous game just a couple of nights ago. If my maths are right, I'm going to say that the run rate needed is 10 and over, so it's quite simple.
Yeah.
But what will those guys be thinking right now?
I mean, you know, they'll all be thinking positive. They'll be thinking things. I imagine that they'll be thinking they'll be the man that wins us the game. Whether that's getting 60 off 20 balls or 80 off 60 and seeing us home while somebody else whacks it at the other end. But like I say, 10 and over is quite a nice target, because you just know you need a boundary and over. You know, it just gives you a real clear goal of, you know, you've got to smack it. There's no, you know, chasing small targets is sometimes more awkward because you always feel like you can maybe just knock and noodle your way there. You know, we're not going to nudge ones and twos and get 200, so we know the lads are going to come out really positive, take it to the bowlers and get it done with a few overs to spare.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Well, the umpires are coming down the steps, so it's time for us to hand over. Final word from you, confident?
Yeah.
That's all I need to hear. Right, time to dip back into your BBC radio commentary team.
I'm here. Umpires are on their way, yep. Thank you very much, Adam, and thank you for looking after us for the last 10 minutes or so. Perfect timing. The umpires in their bright pink, bright magenta umpiring jackets are the first out there in the middle, followed by the Derbyshire side in their predominantly dark blue with the light blue numbers and names. And also the two Notts openers, Joe Clarke and Lyndon James. So the opening partnership remains united. Let's see if they can get off to a decent start here. It's Friday the 13th. Who will it be unlucky for then? Notts Outlaws or Derbyshire Falcons? They'll be very pleased to have posted 199 for 5, and good stats from Adam there in the interval. Derbyshire's biggest score in T20 cricket for a couple of years. Notts have posted 200 here against Derbyshire 3 times in the past, and in fact their largest ever T20 total came here against Derbyshire when they racked up 247 for 6 3 years ago. Half centuries from Ben Duckett and Alex Hale's contributions from Stephen Mullaney and Joe Clark as well. Joe Clark's out there. He's on strike. They're not skipper. Lyndon James at the non-striker's end, and it's going to be the 20-year-old Afghan spinner Mohammad Ghazanfar to get us underway, bowling from the pavilion end, the Stuart Broad end, and he comes in off a pace and a half, and he's lost his run-up, or something wasn't right. What happened there?
I'm not quite sure, to be honest. Yeah, he's remarking his run-up out, so...
He doesn't come in long enough to have a run-up. You have a longer run-up than that.
I know. I might shorten mine.
So we'll start again. Here we go. Knots need 200, and you can only start a long journey with the first step, or whatever the saying is, and Joe Clark pushes this down the ground for a single. They've got one of the 200 they require. We're underway here at Trent Bridge. Just hope the crowd get involved here. They have something to get involved with. There's a little bit of excitement. Hope it is a passionate run chase for them to follow and get on the edge of their seats. And that Notts don't become Derbyshire's first victims of 2025. Lyndon James works this on the leg side. There's no run. Wayne Madsen doing the fielding. In fact, I beg your pardon. Wayne Madsen, number 77, is at slip. It's number 17 doing the fielding. That's Finn Hudson-Prentice, who we didn't see get a bat in that Derbyshire innings. Ghazanfar comes in again, a hop, skip and a jump. A little short of a length, and Lyndon James has chipped this straight to Finn Hudson-Prentice and gets his second duck of the week, and Notts a 1-for-1.
Yeah, just a straight delivery there from the leg spinner, and Lyndon just soft, I have to say. He's just tried to work it into the leg side, and he's hit it pretty much straight to Finn Hudson-Prentice, who probably couldn't believe his luck. Not the start Notts needed. Lyndon James goes for a duck.
Here is bowled middle stump for naught in the first over on Wednesday evening against Yorkshire. Just a tame chip here to mid-wicket. Gets Jack Haynes out there to link up with his skipper. Jack Haynes in this season's competition began with 89 not out in that thrilling run chase against the Bears. 23-43 the next two matches, 19 against Worcestershire. And then, you may remember, he too followed Lyndon James out first ball on Wednesday, so he'll be looking to bounce back to form. Dreadful start for Notts, 1-for-1 in the first. It's
an important partnership for Notts, this, but he's in early, obviously he's in early. It's in the third ball of the innings, but...
Let's see what he can do. Ghazanfar in, and he's away. He's turning it just behind square leg.
Yeah, it doesn't like he's going to get a massive amount of spin, Ghazanfar, but he's just looking to target the stumps, isn't he, and say to the Notts batters, come on then, you need 200. You're going to have to take a risk. And I think in the power play with just the two fielders out.
Don't think this wicket's been used before this season. Went out and had a little look at it. Clark drills this down the ground to long on. Well, I was going to say, normally you have your fielders square of the wicket, but they put a long on down there, and it's gone straight through the hands of the fielder and away for four. Thought I caught a glimpse of number 14 as he sort of apologised to everybody.
I think it's... Is it Ben Aitchison?
Yeah.
So he's on as a sub for someone.
No, Aitchison's playing.
Oh no, he's playing, of course he is. I'll get it right in a minute.
And Clark now pushes it to Aitchison, and this time he feels it. And did you hear the crowd?
I'll tell you what I was going to say.
Just take something, yeah.
Well, there's been a couple of misfields from both sides now, so that's evened itself out nicely.
7 from the first over.
It was eventful, wasn't it?
Yeah,
just went for 7.
Should only been 4 really. And now Aitchison has a chance to atone because he's quickly jogged up from the far end, handed over his fleecy top and given it to umpire Gough, and he's going to get the second over.
And he's just apologised to his pal. Just apologised. Said sorry about that one, mate.
It's quite a slippery right arm medium fast bowler, Ben Aitchison.
Skiddy, isn't it? Sneaks up on you, so lights are obviously on now. Potentially skid a little bit more. That's what they normally say under lights, is it? Something like that, anyway.
One fielder out, square of the wicket on either side. Everybody else on the discs, saving one. As Aitchison comes in, bowls to Joe Clark, nudges this to Madsen at mid-wicket, and there's no run. Outlaws 7 for 1. If you're just joining us, Derbyshire Falcons were put into bat by Joe Clark, and they made 199 for 5. Certainly a score that's got them in the game. A lot of people say 200 is roundabout right, roundabout par here at Trent Bridge. As Clark gets lucky here, he's got 4 runs over third. Not really in control of that. We did say that in the Derbyshire innings a time or two, though. 1 or 2 shots not in control of, but they've gone hard at the ball, and so you have to say the same with Joe Clark. He's got his reward for the attacking intent. Certainly wasn't meant to go there. High over third for 4.
Yeah, skipped down and tried to hit it straight back down the ground, didn't he? Just caught thick outside edge. Lots going to need a few more of those, and I don't think Joe Clark's going to mind too much how he gets them.
Clark on to 10, 11 on the board. There's Ben Aitchison. Clark's gone right the way across his stumps and tried to scoop it down the leg side, and umpire Michael Goff doesn't give the leg side wide, and he's sort of responding to Joe Clark's query as to why it isn't a wide, and you can see with his arm movements Michael Goff is saying you moved across there, but I thought we saw that a time or two in the first innings of the match. Anyway, Aitchison in again to Clark, and he'll chop this one out into the deep for a single.
It's the problem with the rules of the wide, isn't it? It must be so difficult as an umpire because it's taken from where you stand and where you take your guard. So the umpire would have felt that had Joe Clark not moved, it would have struck him on the pad.
It was so simple in the days where anything down the leg side was a one-day wide or a T20 wide, but now with so many switch hits and what have you, they've tinkered a little bit with the understanding of it. Here's Pat Brown coming in from the point boundary to field. 1 more to the total. Pat Brown generally fields on one side of the ground, and Ross Whiteley's got himself in front of the Smith Cooper stand. 13 for 1. And Jack Haynes now on strike. Will face Ben Aitchison.
Yeah, a lot of noise from the Derbyshire boys, and rightly so. I feel like they've got the upper hand here.
Aitchison in. Haynes was cramped for room there, really. Tried to move across his stumps to pull it away on the leg side. Only drags it as far as Madsen at mid-wicket. We've had a couple of overs. 13 for 1. Same stage. Derbyshire were 23 without loss. Just seen on the we've got a monitor in here. Those of you watching the live stream, there's a gentleman who's come to the game, whether he's part of a group that's going on elsewhere or whether he's just decided to come to the game in full cricket whites wearing a helmet.
He's got to have lost a bet, surely. He'll be glad it's a bit cooler, sat in that helmet for 3 hours.
So Gazan Farr, who's already helped himself to a wicket, gets another over, bowls big LBW shout. He's got another one. He's got Haynes LBW. Big confident shout from the Afghan spinner, upheld by umpire Robbie White, and knots a 13 for 2. And Trent Bridge plunged into silence. Haynes out, and it's 13 for 2.
Yeah, just took all the pace out of that one, Gazan Farr. Like he played round that, did Jack Haynes, and he has to walk. It's a very sorry slow walk back to the pavilion. I did notice there Joe Clark even took his gloves off and just dropped them both to the floor, as if to say, goodness me boys, yeah, he's just played straight round his front pad there, Jack Haynes, and missed it. And without doubt going on to hit the stump. So Derbyshire 2 quick wickets, that's exactly what they will have spoken about.
New man is Freddie McCann. Looked a decent touch on Wednesday till he fell for 31. Just his 4th T20 game. Touch of gloves with Joe Clark, who just taking some fluid on board. Left-hander, of course, Freddie McCann. Different challenge for the bowler here, who's got 2 wickets. He's only bowled 7 balls. 13 for 2 knots. saying, isn't it? If you lose 3 wickets in the power play, it really does drastically reduce your chances of winning. So Notts can't afford much more early damage here.
Yeah, the problem is though their strike. The current run rate's at 6. They need to be going at 10.5. So they can't really afford to putt it around for too long and give themselves a couple of overs potentially.
Neither of these two particularly known for patting it around, as Freddie McCann with a confident steer into the offside. He's run the first one quickly and he turned and very nearly turned into Gazanfar. So a real coming together in the World Test Championship yesterday, didn't we, with Carl Verena and
Pat Cummins appealing, wasn't he, straight into the back of him.
14 for 2 with that single. So Joe Clark back on strike. He's on 11 from 8 balls faced. There is the spinner. Clark nudges it down the ground. Up in the northeast then, the Blaze have been set to score 189 to defeat Durham, and similarly to Notts here, they didn't get off to a great start. Marie Kelly out for 1 in the first over. Tammy Beaumont in the Blaze starting lineup. She's at the other end. Gazanfar round the wicket, nicely played by Freddie McCann, leans back, chops it away out to Pat Brown, who I'm sure we'll see into the attack in the next couple of overs. 16 for 2 with that single.
Yeah, looks like he's taking it straight out of Calvin Harrison's playbook here. Just take the pace out of the ball. Looks like a little bit in the pitch for the spinners. Just hit the stumps and take the pace off the ball. It's tough going at the minute for the Nottinghamshire batters.
Comes in again the spinner, bowls, and Joe Clark playing away from his body, trying to cut it down towards third, misses it, throw into the gloves of Brooke Guest, who, as Lucy mentioned earlier on, wearing those black wicket-keeping gloves. The man in black, black batting gloves to good effect towards the back end of the Falcons innings. Gazanfar bowls and Joe Clark goes on the offensive, and I think that's gone all the way for 6. Just cleared the rope and then clattered into the advertising boards at extra cover. Nice way to end the over. Good shot of intent for Joe Clark, striking back with the first 6 of the innings.
Yeah, just a touch over pitch in that final ball from Gazanfar, and Joe Clark just opened up his body beautifully and slapped him over extra cover for 6. It's a sign of intent from Joe Clark, that dismissive off the bat of the Outlaws captain. Finn Hudson-Prentice is going to come into the attack, his first over of the game.
Yeah, an unusual one. He's a very, very talented player, Finn Hudson-Prentice. He's now with Sussex, where he started his career, then moved to Derbyshire, then back a couple of seasons now back at Hove. Decided he was surplus to requirements for this competition, so Derbyshire have signed him in the week. First ball wide of the off stump and goes through to the keeper, Brooke Guest. Has a little bit of history on this ground. Alongside Lewis Deploy, he got Derbyshire over the line in that Bob Willis match in the COVID season of 2020. Set to score, was it 380 or something on the last day, and Lewis Deploy 140 not out, Hudson-Prentice 93 not out. Getting Derbyshire over the line. Here's Freddie McCann, and it's gone onto the stumps. Yeah. Oh dear, just short of a length. McCann's tried to pull it away on the leg side. It ran up his arm and down his back, and he didn't know where it had gone, and lands on the stumps. And Freddie McCann has been bowled by Finn Hudson-Prentice for 2, out in the most unfortunate manner you could ever wish to see. And Notts are in a real hole at 22 for 3.
I'm not really sure what to say about that one, Dave. I mean, Freddie McCann's hanging his head. I'm not really sure there's much you can do about that, to be honest. He's tried to kind of help it around the corner almost, and he just obviously felt it come off his body and desperately trying to find the ball, and by the time he found it, it just rolled onto the stumps. Yeah, just looped up over his head, and by the time he tried to knock it away with his bat, dislodged a single bail.
You know, it's not your day when that happens. That might happen to you once, maybe twice in an entire playing career. for Freddie McCann. Well, he's got it out of the way, but that's desperately unlucky. We've just seen a replay of it, and I wasn't too far away when I said it ran up his arm, came down his back, and then just took one little hop and knocked a bail off. Start of a new over. No, it's not. It's still from Hudson Prentice to Matthew Montgomery, who's out there and underway. First ball, driving it into the offside, partially stopped by Nye Donald. So Tom Moores has come in at 5 in all the previous games. I guess with the 3 wickets going down so early, Notts have just changed things a little bit. And Matthew Montgomery will be out there just to try and rebuild alongside Joe Clark. 23 for 3. Good game to win from here. Clark's on strike on 18, gets into a position just to scoop it over everybody's head, and one bounce and it's over the rope in front of the pavilion for 4.
He looks to me like a man on a mission here, Joe Clark, which could potentially be dangerous for Derbyshire, who's visibly frustrated with the loss of the first 2 wickets at the non-striker's end. Obviously not much Freddie McCann could have done, but just by his demeanour, obviously really up for this, but he looks like he really means business.
Sensational improvisation. Some Prentice bowls, and he'll dab this away on the leg side for a single. 28 for 3. Joe Clark spends a lot of his winters travelling here, there and everywhere. Played a lot of cricket in the Big Bash, and news from the Big Bash in Australia today. Peter Moore's been given a 2-year extension to his role as head coach at Melbourne Stars, so that's where you'll find Peter for the next 2 winters. Good work if he can get it. 28 for 3. Matthew Montgomery on strike on 1. Pushes this crisply up to mid-on. Sharp bit of fielding there, but Gazan Far underarming it towards the stump, narrowly misses. We've had 4 overs, Notts at 29 for 3. Only a couple of runs behind where the Falcons were at the same stage, but of course 3 wickets worse off. First result of the evening, not surprisingly, is at New Road, where they started at 5:30 because there's no floodlights. Lancashire Lightning have defeated Worcestershire Rapids by 7 wickets, sent to chase 144 they needed. They've got home there with 2.5 overs to spare. Aitchison to get another over. His first only cost 6 runs. This is the 5th over of the innings. 29 for 3. He bowls now, and Matthew Montgomery with another sharp single. 30 for 3. Falcons taking wickets, and they're also making Notts work hard for these runs as well. Big score for the Bears in the end. 205 for 8 at Headingley. Notts play the Bears tomorrow. Contribution of 67 from Ed Barnard, who got a half century when the sides met here. So Joe Clark, the Notts skipper, 250s already in this season's competition. 58 against the Bears, 50 against Yorkshire on Wednesday on strike. Comes towards the bowler, pulls it on the leg side, and there'll be just a single. 31 for 3.
That's what we were talking about earlier from Aitchison, wasn't it? Skidded through that. Joe Clark using his feet, trying to create a bit of length, but just tucked him up, did Aitchison. Not much Joe Clark could do with that one, apart from shovel it into the leg side for a single.
Sami Patel doing a good job of hiding himself at short fine. Oh, this is pulled away emphatically by Matthew Montgomery. Just gave himself a little bit of room there and backed away. Aitchison banged it in short. Montgomery pulled it away.
Not been a lot of reward actually for the seamers banging it in short, to be honest.
No.
We haven't seen a proper bumper, I don't think. Not one head height. Kind of shoulder head height, but anything around that badge has been easy pickings.
Weather's just getting a little gloomier. Some dark clouds overhead as Montgomery tries to pull this away. Strikes him amidships, and Joe Clark calls his mate through for a leg bye.
Yeah, it was a limpy leg bye as well. I think that might have hurt Montgomery.
Yeah.
Before he had time to even rub his leg, he was trying to sprint to the other end.
36 for 3. We're in the 5th over. Duckworth-Lewis comparison says Notts need to have more than 57 runs at this stage. Well, they're 36 for 3. Aitchison bowls, and this is again just improvised by Joe Clark. He's trying to get into a position for the switch hit, and Aitchison, I think, followed him, saw him going, bowled even wider, and Clark ended up just opening the face and running it towards short third for a single.
It was interesting fielding by Caleb Jewell there, because he went to ground really early. If that just spun, it had gone straight past him. We did well to kind of cling on goalkeeper style in the end. But yeah, the DLS, it just shows what wickets in the power play does to you, how quickly that rises.
Montgomery on strike. The 2 out are on the leg side, but they're not on the leg side down at long leg. They're just in front and just behind square, so Montgomery paddles it away for 4, and that's a timely boost towards the end of the over. 12 from that one. A really good first 5 overs for Derbyshire. A couple of wickets for Gazanfar, 1 for Hudson Prentice, Lyndon James out for 0, Jack Haynes for 2, Freddie McCann for 2, but Joe Clark and Matthew Montgomery just the first shoots of a recovery here at 41 for 3 after 5 overs. See what the next 5 bring. Enjoy it with Lucy Hyam.
Yeah, Hudson Prentice is going to continue from the Ratcliffe Road end to skipper Joe Clark. And like you said, Dave, that was an important boundary off that final ball. Played a couple of nice ramp shots. The Outlaws just making Derbyshire think a little bit more. Can't just bowl line of length to these two. Just down the wicket is Joe Clark. He's chipped that one, leading edge straight in the air. The keeper's after it. Is he going to drop safe? Oh, they're going to run into each other. Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible.
Right, the ball is on the ground. The wicket-keeper and Gazanfar have run into each other. Either could have caught it. Both, I'm sure, were shouting, but neither pulled out. And it looks as if Gazanfar has come off worst here. Teammates are running towards him and just checking that he's okay. Nobody's gone to Brooke Guest, but that's a nasty one.
Yeah, that was not what you want to see as the medical team all come out from both the Outlaws, both the Outlaws and the Falcons actually, and the paramedics are just going to come out. It was really nasty.
Yeah, we're getting the medical
there's
cart
going to be a
out
bit of a delay
well.
here, I think. Just fielder at mid-on and the wicket-keeper just both trying to run for the ball. Not sure if there's any communication or if anything could be heard, but Gazanfar looked, it was head-on. Shoulder, I think.
Who won't be watching this, I'm sure. Daniel Sams in the Knox dugout, because I don't know if you saw in the winter, he had a nasty one. He and Cameron Bancroft in a match for Sydney Thunder in the winter ran head first into each other. Very, very nasty injuries. I think Bancroft got a broken nose, and
it was terrible. They're both
Sams was out
knee,
with concussion for a long time. They're both down on the ground here.
Brooke Guest is up. Brooke Guest is up.
Certainly Gazanfar with the worst of the injury.
Yeah, it looks like they're just going to take some precautions with regards to his neck at the minute, but both lead physios from both teams out there with the paramedics at the minute, so fingers crossed Gazanfar's okay.
You don't want to see that. You really, really don't want to see that. It shouldn't happen. Both eyes on the ball, both presumably calling. Easy from here and from anywhere to say the fellow with the gloves on, but Gazanfar obviously thought he was the man for it. I mean, you look at where it happened. The wicketkeeper really, under normal circumstances, has no business being that far away from the stumps. But
I was going to say, I didn't think Brooke Guest was going to get there for a lot of it because of the leading edge nature. So Joe Clark tried to kind of clip it into kind of deep mid wicket. And with that leading edge, you almost get the top spin, so it's always flying away from the wicketkeeper. And sometimes I think there, mid-on has got to take that catch. But Brooke Guest, fair play to him, covered a lot of ground really quickly and probably got closer to it than he thought. It's good to see Gazanfar on 2 feet here. He's just being helped off, and I'm pretty sure, and probably rightly so, he'd go off.
Yeah.
At least for a couple of overs. Take concussion very seriously nowadays. Pretty sure he'll come off here just to be checked.
Yeah, obviously we're not in a position really to say where he was struck. There's parts of the body where clearly there could be more damage. Head injuries are the ones that everybody's got to be most particular, most cautious about. But wherever he's been struck, it was a fearsome coming together of two adult males. One was running one way as fast as it could go, one was running the other way, and they collided. He is now walking off under his own steam, escorted by a couple of the Derbyshire medical staff. He's got a cap in his hand. He'll get a good ovation, and if it's okay for him to come back, then fine. But if not, we'll wish him a speedy recovery and hope there's no lasting damage. And likewise, I'm sure somebody would have checked out Brooke Guest, because he'll have felt the impact as well. Crikey! But he's going to take his position behind the stumps. I think at the end of all that, Lucy, I'm sure you'll confirm it for her. They took one run.
They did run one, yeah.
They're not still running up and down.
Well, it'd been dead balled straight after, wouldn't it, as well?
It would have been, yeah.
But good to see, well, one player still on the pitch, and Gazanfar, like you said, Dave, making his way off on 2 feet. So a nasty moment there, but Matthew Montgomery's waiting. That's clipped into the leg side. They're going to take a single.
This is the subfielder Harry Kame, wearing number 4.
So 44 for 3 of the Outlaws. Joe Clark about to take strike, 26 off 16. Matthew Montgomery at the non-striker's end, 12 off 7. As Hudson Prentice comes in, and Joe Clark steps across his stumps and whacks that full toss straight over long on. 4 more to the Outlaws captain. It looks like he's having fun out there, Joe Clark.
There'll be plenty of club cricketers up and down the land wondering why a professional can just come up and serve a waist-high full toss like that.
I mean, it can happen. Especially when you see, well, yeah, you're right. Especially when you see the batter move, because often you're looking at their feet to try and see where they're moving to. It can sometimes, as that one's a low full toss, and Clark moves again outside off stump, it can just clip that one into the leg side. But I think at the top of your mark, you have a really clear idea of what you're going to bowl, and then you watch the feet, or you watch the batter, whatever part you choose to look at, in T20 cricket, because they move so much, and you might think Yorker, and the batter moves, you've got to change, and sometimes that execution when you're mid-gather is really hard. Well, that's what I tell myself anyway. As Montgomery waits. That's pace-off delivery back of a length by Hudson Prentice, well bowled. They're just going to take one to square leg.
So are you back bowling again?
I am, Dave. I'm hopefully not far away from a return with any luck.
And we know that our old friend Luke Fletcher is now part of the Blaze coaching staff on the bowling side. Is he having some input with the spinners as well, or not?
No, he sticks mainly to the seamers, if I'm honest. We've got Laura Marsh to do the spin stuff. As Joe Clark again, back and across to Hudson Prentice. This can only really be described as slot, to be honest, and Joe Clark slapped that down the ground for 6. Hudson Prentice knows that's not where he needs to be bowling. It's dismissive from Joe Clark. That's the end of a very eventful over.
Yeah, it was a long over as well. Obviously, the amount of time that was taken up there, whilst a little bit of treatment was required for Brooke Guest and in particular Mohammad Gazanfar, that'll all be added on to the time allowed for the Falcons to finish their overs. 55 for 3 then at the end of the power play. Knots are 6 runs behind where the Falcons were at the same stage. So very much in touch. Here's Pat Brown, who's another one who's had any number of injuries, played a really prominent role in Worcestershire winning the Blast in 2018. Had a few games for England in the years after then, but he's had a lot of injuries.
As in he comes, Montgomery cuts that into the offside. Yeah, he's been really unlucky, hasn't he, Pat Brown? He's a fantastic cricketer. He's a real athlete as well, isn't he? I was just thinking, actually, Samit Patel's just going through his bowling actions. Looks like he's going to get a go. With the way Gazanfar bowled, it would be a real shame not to see him come back on and turn out his leg spin.
Yeah, I guess the slight plus for Derbyshire is he's bowled 3 of his allocation.
Pat Brown into Joe Clark, who works onto the leg side. They set off quickly for the first one. Not on this occasion, despite the misfield. But you know what they say, Dave?
Yeah, I know.
Run on the misfield.
I'll just correct myself, actually. He only bowled 2 overs, Gazanfar, 2 overs, 2 for 16. So they would obviously like to welcome him back with open arms to bowl his other 2 at some stage in the innings, but he's obviously being properly checked out. It was a full-on collision, it really was unpleasant to see.
One that makes you feel a bit sick when you're watching, doesn't it? As Montgomery waits, it's driven into the offside. Another change up from Pat Brown, an off-pace delivery. Montgomery just happy just to get down the other end at the minute. He's 15 off 10 and Joe Clark's going well. He's striking the ball nicely. He's hit some beautiful shots down the ground, coupled with a couple of very inventive ramps and reverse ramps. His wagon wheel would be interesting, Dave. It would be in a H shape pretty much.
Yeah, should have gone on 25 though. Either Guest or Gazanfar, but not both. Should have caught it. Went straight up, didn't it? Really?
Yeah, well, it should have been, for either one, it would have been relatively simple in the end. Samit Patel's getting a rousing reception as he drops back down to the boundary.
Yeah, he's the captain down there on the ropes.
It's Brown into Clark, who's pulling that into the leg side. It's good fielding on the boundary, it's just going to be 1. I think it's Aitchison out there at cow corner or deep mid-wicket.
They'll certainly enjoy his evening, Samit, if the Falcons were to end this long streak of coming to Nottingham and not getting a win.
Yeah, for sure. It'll be interesting to see how he does when he gets the ball in his hand. He'll be relishing the opportunity.
Just looking, the last time Derbyshire won a match, a T20 match here that was 20 overs aside, 2008.
Oh, wow.
You can never guess who the Notts openers were.
As that one is back of a length and strikes Montgomery in the mid-rift. No run.
Will Jefferson and Andre Adams.
No, I don't think I'd have guessed that, Dave,
that was clearly in the experimental stage of Andre playing T20 cricket, but also being bunted up the order from about numbers 9 or 10 to open alongside Will Jefferson. But Derbyshire won. That was in 2008. They've not won a 2020 game here. They did win in 2013, a match that was just 9 overs aside.
Oh, some stat that, isn't it? So a very happy drive back at the A50, won't it? As Brown comes in, that's going to be a wide. She's got that one a bit wrong, unfortunately. Pat Brown attempted slow ball,
and Notts will take all gifts with open arms here. Wides and no balls would be gratefully received.
I was been given 1 for the over as well, which is a bit harsh. I'm not sure it was over shoulder high. It was a bit hard to tell. But it's the final ball of Pat Brown's over. Just conceded the 5 runs. We can try and finish this over well, because that's an on-pace delivery. Drilled back down the ground by Montgomery. Stuck a hand out, Pat Brown. He was probably pretty lucky that it didn't hit his finger, to be honest. An absolute bullet off Matthew Montgomery's bat, just step hit. And that's exactly what Pat Brown didn't want to happen, that 4 off the final ball. Very tidy up until that point. Bowled a wide, had to re-bowl it and gets hit for 4.
What have we had? 7 overs, 64 for 3, so Notts are only 2 runs behind now at this stage. Those 3 wickets are certainly a difference between the 2 sides, but in terms of it being a nicely paced run chase, they're on target at the moment. Here's Samit Patel. Nobody's played more T20 Blast games than him. He was part of the competition when it started in 2003, and he's still going 22 years later.
Some career, that, isn't it? 22 years. Going to bowl his first delivery to Joe Clark, who slaps that through the offside. Deep cover is out. Pat Brown does the fielding. 1 more added to the total. So Notts have really accelerated over the past 3 overs. They were going at 6 and over, and they're now going at 9.07. So not far off that runs required now, as Montgomery this time gives himself some room. It was almost a repeat of the ball before. Again, a single to deep cover. Left arm spinner coming in. Joe Clark trying to pull that delivery, can't quite get it. Another single. So 3 singles taken so far off Samit Patel's over. He's going to change in his pace nicely. He's obviously a seasoned vet in Samit Patel, and he's going to know exactly how to bowl at Trent Bridge after his many years spent playing cricket here. It's Montgomery this time. Gives himself some room and cuts. Can't beat point. It's good fielding.
Yes, as the evening gets a little gloomier, the one fielder that shines out above everybody else is Nye Donald with those bright orange, almost fluorescent orange cricketing shoes.
As Clark cuts again. Can't beat that deep cover. Just goes for another single. They are so bright. They almost look brighter now than they did earlier.
Top scorer in the match is 73, looking a very handy contribution.
Yeah, he batted really nicely, didn't he? Reverse sweep, Montgomery. Half an appeal, but he was way outside the line of leg stump. And they're going to come through for a leg bye. So Samit Patel's first over goes for 5. Not 73.
They did the best to try and not let him settle there. Both attempting switch hits, but I don't know, sometimes the orthodox isn't a bad thing. I mean, he got 2 men there for the reverse against Montgomery. He knows Montgomery well. He knows he likes to play that shot. Doing his level best to try and plug that gap.
We saw a lot of sweeps, orthodox sweeps from the Derbyshire Falcons, and that's a shot that Montgomery plays well, and it would be to the short boundary. So it'll be interesting to see if they go to that ploy as Montgomery backs away, gives himself some room and slaps Pat Brown over extra cover for 4.
Tell you what, he's playing very nicely at the moment. Matthew Montgomery is only played in 1 of the 7 county championship games. Not had too many opportunities in this competition. But out there with lots of overs to bat, and he's made an equal share in a 50 partnership so far.
Montgomery this time tries to ramp, almost QNs it out to deep square, and comes through for another single.
In the northeast, the Blazers 73 for 1 after 8. Been set to score 189. Run machines, Tammy Beaumont and Catherine Bryce at the crease. That's the Nottinghamshire women's team, the Blaze.
What I would say, Dave, is pace on looks considerably easier to get a hold of, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pace off looks really tricky from the spin. There's Joe Clark. Has it cleared him? Yes, just over. Just over extra cover. I think it's Martin Anderson there. It's quite wide mid-off. Again, a bit of a funny angle out there. It's almost a bit of a right angle, that boundary. Just a little bit of width. Well, it's not really width, it's off stump. With the skill of Joe Clark, he's just given himself a touch of room and blasted it over extra cover again.
Yeah, it really is unique amongst the 18 county headquarters, isn't it? That stand and boundary rope that doesn't curve round, it's just a straight line.
It's almost like a hectagon, isn't it, kind of shape. It's tough to field on out there because you've got no room, as that's a beautiful Yorker. It goes through the legs of Joe Clark. Well taken from Caleb Jewell, who seems to luckily be all right, which is not Caleb Jewell, Brooke Guest even.
Not seen Gazanfar come back, have we?
I'd be surprised if he did, I think, with the protocols now.
Encouraging to see that he was able to walk off on his own. I don't really know where the point of contact was, but there's quite a coming together. Both running full tilt, both eyes on the ball, and they collided, head-on crash.
Clark slaps that. Oh, it's been dropped by Wayne Madsen at extra cover. I'm not quite sure he saw it, to be honest. The crowd announcer doesn't care. And that's 4 runs to Joe Clark. And that brings up his 50. So backed away, gave himself some room, hit it straight at Wayne Madsen at extra cover. It bursts through his hands and goes for 4.
Yeah, he's 3rd of the competition already. Joe Clark comes up from 27 balls, 6 4s and 2 6s. Been put down twice.
Final ball from Pat Brown. It's a better length. Just dropped into the offside for 1. So that is the end of the 11th. Notts 84 for 3.
Yeah, it's still just behind where the Falcons were at the same stage, but very much. Oh, here he comes. Here he comes. Gazanfar coming back on the field, so clearly the medical staff will have done all the due diligence, checked him out, perfectly happy that there's no sign of injury. Like I said, don't really know what the issue was. I'm sure if it was any description, understandably so, if that was the case, but he's back out there, and everybody will be sort of frantically checking the regulations to see when he can bowl his last 2 overs, if indeed he is required. Here's Patel.
Also, sorry, that was the end of the 8th, not the end of the 11th. There's Clark going to have to get skates on here. Oh, sneaks through for 1. Attempted sweep, comes off his pad. Gets called through by Montgomery. Direct hit, was well wide in the end. Yeah, sorry, I was looking at the overs to bowl, not the overs gone, which isn't particularly helpful, is it?
9 gone, 11 to go.
Oh dear. Sweeping this time is Montgomery. Straight out to Ross Whiteley. Just a single taken.
So it must be a real culture shock when you're used to playing matches at this ground and following everything so closely on the scoreboard when you're on the field to go into other places and you haven't got all that information.
Samit Patel comes in again. It's worked off the legs by Clark. And bowled nicely here is Samit Patel, not giving the stumps away. He's 1.3 overs and just gone for 7. Very economical so far. As then he comes again. Montgomery on strike. Down the wicket this time. Oh, he's bowled. He's taken out middle stump. That's a big celebration from Samit Patel. Came down the wicket, then Montgomery looking to bop Samit Patel straight back over his head. I think he's done himself in the flight in the end. And it goes straight through, and middle stump is out the ground.
What a shame. He was playing beautifully. 27 for Matthew Montgomery. And now he goes. Just gives Derbyshire another step towards picking up their first win of the season. Big Tom Moore's on his way out to the middle. Left-hander, of course. Tom Moore's he's made some handy little contributions. 8 not out. Came in and got the winning runs in that big run chase against the Bears. Then 21 not out last Friday at Derby. 39 against Worcestershire and 19 in midweek. So he's had starts in all the games here, Tom Moore's. Generally takes a bit of a time to get going, can soak up a few dot balls till he's into his stride, and Notts really can't afford to have too many dot balls soaked up here.
Strike here. So he can knock it around if he wants, but he's got to get himself down the other end.
Still a lot required, 113 more.
And that one is just worked into the leg side by Tom Moores. They run the first one hard. No 2 as Donna with his bright orange shoes does the fielding. So final ball of Samit Patel's second over. Currently got figures of 1 for 8.
More T20 cricket for you tomorrow evening on Radio Nottingham. Notts are at Edgbaston.
It's just worked down the ground by Joe Clark. Another single added.
That one's a 7 o'clock start, so we'll be on air just before the start at Edgbaston. End of the over, halfway. Notts at 89 for 4. The Falcons were 99 for 2 at the same stage, and they lost a wicket start of the 11th over to become 99 for 3. So it's still within the remit of Notts to get over the line here, but they're going to have to have a really good 10 overs. It'll be Gazanfar, so he's clearly allowed to come straight back on the field and have a bowl. He's just having a little look there. I can't see any tape or anything at all. Probably, thankfully, hopefully, just winded. So he comes in and bowls start of his 3rd over. Beginning of the 11th over, bowls to Clark, who cuts him away for his 54th run. Gazanfar 2 for 16 from his first 2 overs. Had Lyndon James and Jack Haynes wickets early on.
Yeah, he bowled really well in the power play as well. From the toughest time for the spinners to bowl, and he bowled with great control.
Trent Bridge under the lights, looking an absolute picture. Go round the wicket now. The Afghan international spinner balls to Moores, went to turn it away, doesn't get anything on it, and the bowler down on one knee appealing. It's not going to get anything there from umpire White.
Yeah, it was pretty optimistic, wasn't it? Looked leg side the whole way, to be fair.
Tom Moores, just a single. So far of a little signal maybe from Brooke Guest. Perhaps they thought that Tom Moores was just in danger of falling forward, but either way it's got to be re-bowled. Now Moores punches this into the offside. He'll get a single. 92 for 4. Midway through the 11th over here. Notts have been set to score exactly 200 more. Next ball is to Joe Clark. Nudges it out to mid-wicket for another single. 93 for 4. Still to come Daniel Sams, who we've seen can hit a long ball. So too Liam Patterson-White, Calvin Harrison, Rob Lord on debut, and Dylan Pennington. 93 for 4. Gazanfar bowls. Moores, like he did earlier in the over, just chopping this out to deep point for another single. Keeping the board ticking over, but could do with a boundary really.
Yeah, I'm not sure how long they can do this for, these two. I think Joe Clark's going to have to keep going here. Or say to Tom Moores, you're going to have to go and I'm going to try and bat through.
Clark on 55 from 33 balls faced. Last ball of the over, and he's hit it hard through extra cover all the way along the ground for 4. That was placement as much as anything. Plenty of power, of course, but the placement was absolutely perfect. They do end the over with that boundary, so 9 from the over in the end, and that's quite acceptable. I think 102 more required from the last 9 overs.
Yeah, pretty clutch boundary there from Joe Clark. It's a beautiful piece of batting, just backed away from Gazanfar, who again hasn't given the stumps away. It's been a real trademark of the Derbyshire spinners. But again, that short pocket in the Smith-Cooper stand, it wasn't hit far away from the fielder at all, but it just came off Joe Clark's bat like a bullet, risk-free all along the floor.
Samit Patel has dried the runs up from his first 2 overs, 1 for 9. He's in again now and starts with a dot as Moores fishing outside the off stump, gets nothing on it. 98 for 4. Matthew Montgomery last to go, out for 27. Patel bowls, and that's a little bit of fortune there for Tom Moores. Just drags it to short fine, and up inside the ring, so there's no run.
This is when we shout 3-dot panic.
Shout what?
3-dot panic.
We'll come back to that as Patel bowls and just hit down the ground for a single. That's referring to what? If it's 3 dots, then
normally there's certain people you think, yeah, you watch them bat and you think, oh, one more dot and they're going to do something, they're going to panic.
Yeah. 99 for 4. Well, he didn't have to panic as he just nudged it down the ground for a single. Clark back on strike. 59. Patel bowls to him down the legs. Well, it's gone down the leg side because Clark was a long way across his stumps. Could well have been bowled round his legs there.
Yeah, he took his guard almost a foot outside off stump there, so clearly trying to target that leg side boundary. Back to a more orthodox guard this time, so that might put the fear of life into him, to be honest.
Samit's seen it all before. Bowls again, and Clark's hit this one in the air, and this is bad news. Pat Brown takes the catch, and Samit Patel's gone off on a little celebratory run. He's just imploring his teammates to come towards him and join in the celebrations, and Clark is out for 59. Third time this season he's reached a half century and perished soon afterwards. Caught Pat Brown in the deep from the bowling of the wily Samit Patel.
Yeah, unfortunately a bit of a one-man show there from Joe Clark. He batted really nicely for his 59. Gave himself some room. Samit Patel took all the pace off, tossed it wide. Lured Joe Clark into the trap and he just couldn't help himself. Good low catch there taken by Pat Brown. 99's
not been a good score to be batting on this evening. A couple of wickets went down in the Derbyshire innings on 99, and now Notts lose their 5th. 99 for 5, require 101 more. As Daniel Sams comes in at number 7, hard-hitting Australian with it all to do. Aside from anything else, it's been another tight over from the Falcons. Just one run from 5 balls so far, and the wicket of Joe Clark. 3-dot panic or whatever it was. There's Sam's getting a single, so Notts at the halfway stage. They're 100 for 5 after 12. So what they've scored in 12 overs, they've got to score now in 8 with only the lower order left to get them. Shot on the big screens here at Trent Bridge of some youngsters enjoying themselves. It's nice to see the younger folk at the cricket and seemingly thoroughly having a good time.
Yeah, sorry, I was just watching there. Brooke Guest has put his helmet on and Martin Anderson was gesturing him to go back. Looked at Samit Patel and Sam Patel said no. Up to the stumps you go. So a bit of pace off with Martin Anderson, I think.
Yeah, big tall Martin Anderson. 6th Falcons bowler to be used into the attack to bowl the 13th over. 100 for 5. Daniel Sams just drops it on the leg side, run the first one quickly, and both Sams getting to the far end and Moores getting to this, both turned and made a pace. Took a pace, but then realised it was futile to try and push for that second run. 101 for 5. Start of the 13th.
What is slightly positive news for the Outlaws is Gazanfar and Patel have only got 1 over left each. The pace has been easier to get a hold of, but I think Derbyshire have been smart here and just going to hold the spinners back a bit.
Anderson in now to Tom Moores. Played that shot several times already, square the wicket on the offside, and he is going to insist that Daniel Sams comes back for 2 there. Good running from Tom Moores. Always been nippy between the wickets, and Notts might need that at this stage of the game. Got to turn every one into 2 if they can. 103 for 5. Anderson bowls and Moores just swishing away at fresh air outside the off stump. Got to get something on it.
Yeah, he swings hard, Tom Moore. Sometimes I think he swings too hard.
Joe Clark made 59, Matthew Montgomery 27, not a lot else from the top order. This is 2 wide, nicely taken by Brooke Guest, but 2 wide from Anderson. 1 to the total. Derbyshire just a little sloppy here in returning the ball back to the bowler. It's still not got back there. 104 for 5 as we approach 9 o'clock. There's Anderson in once more. Moores goes hard at it. Gets nothing on it.
Yeah, can't really afford this. Now it's being rolled in a triangle formation now back to the bowler. Shows how deep all the fielders are in the ring. This is the problem when you've got 2 new batters in and they both need to go. Required run rates are 13s.
Stiff challenge from here. Martin Anderson bowls. Moores will hit a 4 here. He's been eyeing up that offside boundary. He's hit a couple out there and he's hitting so far straight to the fielder. This one was over the ropes and clattering into the wall at the base of the Fox Road stand before anybody could move. That's a nice shot.
Yeah, he's been trying to do that for the past 3 balls, hasn't he? But he's finally got one and he struck it nicely. A bit frustrating for Anderson because I think that's almost his plan, is go across him and go wide line.
108 for 5. Final ball of the 13th. Anderson bowls. Moores cuts it in the same direction but not with the same force, and they'll only get a single, so he'll keep the strike. 9 from that over. 109 for 5. Notts require 91 from 7.
Yeah, Samit Patel's going to bowl out here.
Joe Clark, for the third time in this season's competition, has got to 50, but then not got to 60. Was dropped twice. Now the lower order left to fend for themselves, really. Tom Moore's on 11, Daniel Sams on 2. Blaze are 123 for 2, requiring 66 to win from 7 overs in the women's competition, as this is pushed into the offside by Moores. Samit Patel bowling his final over with figures of 2 for 11 going into it. Slow left arm spinner comes in again, tosses it up there. Moores belts it down the ground, but it'll only be a single. Tammy Bow wants 73 not out for the Blaze.
It was nice of me to give us some throwdowns on my off spin yesterday, wasn't it? Generous like that.
Patel now to Sams. Strong square cut from him, he'll only get a single. In the North Group, Lancashire have already defeated Worcestershire. Durham made 157 for 8 at Northants. The home side 96 for 4 after 13. Northants have won all of their matches so far, played 6-1-6. Now he's bowled in. Patel bowls Tom Moores. It was pitched up there nice and full, and Tom Moores has played all around it, and Sammy's got 3 on the evening. Nelson on the board, 111 for 6.
Just to make life worse, Samit Patel is currently looking in his pocket as a celebration for all the wickets he's taken.
I think he can perhaps sense that his side are very much on top here. This is going to take some astonishing lower order hitting from Daniel Sams, maybe Liam Patterson-White and or Calvin Harrison. If not, such again, going to get close. Otherwise, it's going to be a first win of the North Group for Derbyshire. And Headingley, the Bears made 205 for 8, 70 from Ed Barnard. Yorkshire 142 for 3 after 15. Tied finish on the cards there, potentially.
I was going to say, that could be a good finish, couldn't it? Right, Liam Patterson-White, what have you got? He's been striking it nicely recently, hasn't he? So,
yeah.
I mean, he's probably going to need to strike it more than nicely, with 89 required off 36 balls. 38 balls. Yeah,
last Saturday against Worcestershire made 39 not out. So Patel bowls to him, and another pitched up delivery to the left-hander. That was the one that got Tom Moores.
Yeah, I don't look far away from sneaking through either, did it, to be honest?
Patel has got figures of 3 for 13, and this is his final ball. He's in again, low full toss, it down the ground, he won't mind that at all. 3 for 14 for Samit Patel, and Notts are 112 for 6 after 14, with it all to do.
He's getting a good round of applause here from the Notts crowd, and rightly so, he deserves it. He's bowled unbelievably well. He's taken 3 really important wickets.
This has had Joe Clark caught in the deep and bowled both Matthew Montgomery and Tom Moores. Gazan Farr to bowl his final over now. He's bowled 3 overs, 2 for 25. Either side of an enforced sit down back in the Falcons dressing room after a really nasty collision with his wicketkeeper Brooke Guest, but thankfully he appears to be okay. 112 for 6. Notts require 88 from 6 overs inside edge there. Saved Liam Patterson-White. Otherwise the spinner, I think, was going to bellow out another LBW shout towards umpire White.
Yeah, just sliding it into the stumps at this time of the game, isn't it? It's going to be difficult to get away for Patterson-White.
Gazan Farr round the wicket and squared up a little bit there. Liam Patterson-White, LPW.
I think his eyes will be lighting up at the slog sweep, which looks ever so inviting from this angle, but the length, Gazan Farr's really firing it in at the toes, isn't he? So it's going to be difficult to get under.
Comes in again, and this is good work by the bowler. Just managed to get a fingertip on it to prevent a single being taken. So there's your 3 dots. What does he do now? 112 for 6. Notts require a 16 and over. 3 dots, and now 4 dots as it's punched straight to cover.
Yeah, I think the the 3-dot panic becomes a bit irrelevant when you require 16.5, because effectively every ball's got to start to go.
Good work by Madsen. He's fielded the last 2 balls. 12 for 6. And Patterson White tries to heave this one to the hills. It's an inside edge to short fine, and Daniel Sams tells him to stay there. No chance of a run. Martin Anderson quickly onto the ball.
Yeah, he doesn't look thrilled with life there, Daniel Sams, does he? He's just stood leaning on his bat thinking,
5 dots. And now a single. It'll be even less thrilled with life, Daniel Sams, because it's going to be at the non-striker's end again.
Yeah,
just one from that over. Gazanfar 2 for 26, and after what's happened to him this evening, he'll be delighted with that.
Yeah, he's bowled well. Oh, it's good to see him back on the pitch, let alone finishing his bowling spell, but I'm glad he's okay, and he's bowled very nicely indeed, taking 2 wickets with him. Spin Hudson Prentice is going to continue. Might come back into the attack then, Carter. I think Daniel Sams just wants to face a ball, doesn't he?
Notts needs some 6s. See if she can bring Notts a little bit of luck on Friday the 13th. From now till the end with Lucy Hyam.
It's going to be Patterson White to face, currently 2 off 8 on strikers. Hudson Prentice comes in, that's slapped down the ground, but go straight to long off for a single. That takes the Outlaws to 114 for 6. Every ball, that run rate is climbing. 17.79 now required. Going to need 3 big overs in a row really here, Notts, to have any hope of getting close to it. 6 wickets down.
Realistically, I think if there was one of those WinViz things available, they wouldn't have Notts with a very high percentage of getting over the line from here.
Yeah, currently 34 behind DLS as well. As that is slapped over extra cover by Daniel Sams. More of that required, Daniel Sams. He's been starved with a strike. Didn't face a ball in the previous over. And he's faced his first ball, Finn Hudson Prentice, and smacked him over the offside for 6.
Just a fabulous cricket shot.
What's Hudson Prentice got here? A bit of width offered on that occasion. Same delivery. Pat Brown sends himself out. Caught a deep extra cover by Pat Brown. Similar delivery, to be fair, from Hudson Prentice, but Daniel Sam just couldn't get the elevation on it. And Pat Brown didn't need to move on the boundary. He just set himself, and he was never dropping that. Another one to fall for Nottinghamshire Outlaws.
Yeah, and a great deal of movement in the stands to right and left and opposite. I think fall of that wicket, 7th Notts wicket to go down. A number of people have decided that they can sense what might be about to happen over the next 10 or 15 minutes and are going to head for the exits and head off to complete their Friday evening social plans. 120 for 7. Notts require 80 from 27 balls, and I assume at some stage in cricketing history that has been done with only 3 wickets in hand, but very much doubt it's going to happen here this evening. Don't think that's being too pessimistic. They've got Liam Patterson-White on 3 and Calvin Harrison just about to face his first ball. 120 for 7. 80 from 27.
I mean, it'll be some effort. Got a licence here as Calvin Harrison. I'm not sure if I think it's an alright time to bat this. You've got absolutely no expectation, have you? Q ends that back of a length delivery from Finn Hudson Prentice, and they just come through for a single.
So what do you do? Try and play yourself into a little bit of form because you don't get too many opportunities in the middle, or do you try and hit every ball out of the ground knowing that full well you might middle 1 or 2, but it's unlikely that you're going to last much beyond that, really going hard at every ball?
Yeah, I think you've just got to swing, really. Got to try and get as close to it as possible. You never know with how close the group is what net run rate will do for you. There's that one slapped through the offside. Run the first one hard. They're going to come back for 2. No. Good running by Harrison and Patterson-White.
Just gone for too many runs, as one of our correspondents said earlier. The power plays have been pretty much a disaster for Notts. Most of the matches this T20 campaign so far. Umpires are getting together over something. Samit Patel being called up. Can't already be at a stage where time is an issue, or I wonder if they're just letting Samit know that that's what it appears to be, doesn't it?
Well, I think they're going to have 4 in here, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think there's been a little bit of touching of the wrist to indicate it is a time issue, and Derbyshire have just been too slow in bowling their overs, I think.
Just trying to see what's happening here. Samit Patel's trying to get the attention of someone even.
Well, this is just
the
taking
physio's coming out here.
This is just taking even longer, isn't it? Well, we're not entirely sure what's happening, folks. Sorry for the momentary silence. We're just trying to establish what's happening. Samit Patel was called over by the 2 umpires who had a little chat themselves, and then seemed to be a little bit of touching of the wrist, and now Samit called the physio. And
I think Gazanfar came on bowled and has gone back off, and I wonder if it's something to do with that, which would be extremely harsh, to be quite frank.
Maybe he's disappeared, hasn't he?
No, Samit Patel's now actually off the pitch.
Well, he's standing just over the boundary edge, but you may be right. He might just be looking for his extra player. Harry Kane is still out there, the sub fielder. This is all, you know, it's going along with the regulations.
Yeah, so I think the umpires have said there, if he's come back on and he's fine, he's got to stay on.
77 required from 25. So it's
now going to take even longer, because he's now going to have to. So Gazanfar, who had gone off, is now going to have to run to pretty much the other end of the pitch, which is rather ludicrous. I do get that from the umpires.
Yeah. But at 123 for 7, requiring 77 from 25, and the young man was clearly injured earlier on.
I just hope he's all right, because that won't be very funny if he's not and they brought him back out. But I'm sure, to be fair, if he actually really wasn't okay, they would have said he cannot come back on yet. So it's the end of another eventful over, to be quite frank. 124 for 7, the Outlaws. Just took one off that final ball.
Yeah, a whole load of nothing happened there.
Really. Hand waving and wafting about, to be honest.
76 required from 4 overs. It's like 19 and over. Likely that Notts will get anywhere close. Liam Patterson-White has 6 to his name from 11 balls. Calvin Harrison just a single. It's going to be Pat Brown. Good time to bowl this, really, isn't it? You've got the opportunity perhaps just to
pick a few up.
Yeah, just smooth your figures in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. It's Patterson-White waits. He's kind of flapped at that wide delivery. That's going to be 1 to 3rd man. A ball from Pat Brown, off pace delivery. I'm going to go wide plan here. To the right-hander.
So Left-hander even. Notts going to slip to 2 wins and 4 losses from their first 6 matches. Finished bottom of the North Group last year. Going to be very firmly 8th out of 9. Only Derbyshire below them after this evening's matches have all finished.
Harrison waits and flicks that into the leg side. They're going to run the first one hard, but there's no chance of 2. It's good fielding out there.
Lots of, as we were saying earlier, very much had the better of this fixture over the years. Tide had to turn a little bit at some time, but it just does seem like a little bit of a meek surrender from the Outlaws again. They've conceded too many runs too many times this year. They've chased in every single game.
Patterson-White drives straight to long off. Another single. Do you think after a record like that you just say, look, regardless of what the pitch is going to do, we're just going to do something different? Especially in T20 cricket, where, to be quite frank, all the pitches are pretty good. They're going to go to Edgbaston tomorrow. That'll be a good wicket. So you've almost got to try something a little bit different here. I guess if you're struggling with the bowling, do you really want to be defending? Another one down the ground from Calvin Harrison on this occasion.
Ultimately, they've got to play better cricket than they have been producing.
That's a fair point.
128 for 7.
Be interested to see what the chat in the change room is after this game, because they're going to have to pick themselves up and go again tomorrow. Which is never an easy task, really, and this is going to be, if it stays as it is, quite a comprehensive victory for Derbyshire. And a tough day out for the Outlaws. As Patterson-White swipes that into the leg side, but again just finds the fielder.
Of course, they're going to be catching up with these Derbyshire players tomorrow. There's a double header at Edgbaston tomorrow. If you're going, anybody who's heading in that direction to watch the Notts match, before it at 3 o'clock, Derbyshire playing a home game against Leicestershire. They've conceded one of their home games, so it's going to be a double header at Edgbaston tomorrow. So Derbyshire, Leicestershire. Might just be typical if Notts and Derbyshire end up sharing similar changing facilities or or in each other's vicinity. Give Samet another chance just to enjoy the moment.
Back of the hand slow ball, slapped down the ground, that one by Harrison. That's going to add 4 runs, 4 welcome runs, but I have a feeling it's a little bit too little too late from the Outlaws.
Yeah, still a decent number, although people are leaving all the time. As the players will stick around at the end and sign the autographs and happily have their photos taken with the youngsters. That's become a little bit of a tradition here after the games, but it's going to be disappointed Notts home support this evening once again. After that thrilling run chase against Warwickshire, this is a campaign that's just tailed off quite dramatically.
Hudson Prentice in. Another one down the ground from Patterson-White. Acquiring 23.5-ish and over now.
Yeah.
It's pretty much dead and buried, isn't it?
Duckworth Lewis says they should be around about 170. They're 134 for 7. Just 17 balls left.
It's Harrison waits. Low full toss slapped into the leg side, but again just a single. I mean, not that it would make much of a difference, I don't feel, at this stage, but they are struggling to find the boundary, these two. They've hit some good cricket shots, but unfortunately just straight at fielders, which is not what you need when you require 23.5 and over.
The yellow belly says Notts had more chance of platting Fog than winning this one.
That's attempted Yorker from Hudson Prentice. Low full toss, but again just another single.
Steve says what a great bowling performance by Samet, and Alan says even after this loss I'm going to Edgbaston tomorrow with my son. Thank you, Alan. Enjoy your day out tomorrow. Hopefully the weather's set fair and should be some good cricket for those going to Edgbaston tomorrow.
Another good Yorker by Hudson Prentice, just clipped off his toes, that one by Calvin Harrison, who moves to 9 off 6. always feel like games have a really weird feeling at this stage.
Yeah.
It's like both teams just kind of waiting for the inevitable. Like Notts just don't want to throw it away and give them all the wickets, but also got no chance in winning. So it just ends up being a quite pedestrian kind of end, doesn't it? Hudson Prentice comes in again. Again, well executed Yorker. It's bowled really nicely at the death here as Hudson Prentice, albeit not under a massive amount of pressure with the scoreboard, but you've still got to execute. Tidy so far. As Calvin Harrison's just waved from a new bat. I think one of the Yorkers might have done some damage to his, to be fair.
The Bears are going to defeat Yorkshire. Yorkshire require 34 and they've only got 2 balls left in which to do it.
Calvin Harrison slaps that down the ground. Just going to drop short of Martin Anderson long on. Another single taken. So end of a good over from Hudson Prentice. That brings an end to his spell. 4 overs, 2 for 38 from Finn Hudson Prentice.
In the women's competition, the Blaze require 12 runs from 10 balls to defeat Durham. They're 177 for 3. Durham made 188 for 5. In the North Group, Durham 157 for 8. Northant's unbeaten run is up for grabs there. They're 134 for 6. They need 24 from 10 balls. So chance for Durham to topple Northants. In the South Group, not really mentioned then, there's been rain all evening between Hampshire and Middlesex. They've not yet called it off, but that one likely to fall foul of the weather. At Bristol, the local derby down there, Gloucestershire made 135 for 7. Somerset well on course to win that. They're 95 for 3 after 13. And at Hove, where they had a little bit of a delayed start, 17 overs aside, Essex 177 for 4. Sussex require 178 from their 17 overs. 2 to go.
Yeah, Ben Aitchison running in from the Stuart Broad end. Calvin Harrison's just changed his bat. Oh, that one works a bit better. He's just stepped inside that one and ramped it round the corner for 4. So happy with that new bit of wood is Calvin Harrison. First ball 4.
Like you say, everyone pretty much going through the motions here. The outcome of this, I think, was all but decided once Joe Clark was dismissed.
Yeah, it's got quite a casual feel to it now, hasn't it?
At that stage, Notts were 99 for 5 after 12 overs.
Harrison waits again. That one's hit straight at mid-on. Oh, he's done well there, actually. I think he half contemplated, I think it's Wayne Madsen there, half contemplated taking a catch. And then in the end just kind of turned in his long barrow, and I think he might have caught him in the chest. Body on the line all the way to the end, saved a run. So that single brings Patterson White back onto strike. He's 12 off 17. I'm sure he'd like to bop a few over the boundary before the game comes to an end. There's 10 balls remaining. That's punched down the ground, but just another single. Unfortunately, Patterson White can't seem to hit it to the boundary.
No, as you say, they can't do a deal else here, really, can they?
And that's the run rate required is officially now ticked over to over 36s. Yeah. So
yeah, you don't see that very often on the Trent Bridge scoreboard. Rate required 36 plus. Yet still Derbyshire just taking a little bit of time with their field settings, getting everybody right.
Aitchison in again, punched down the ground. That's a nice shot from Calvin Harrison. He's kind of hit that off the back foot on the up past a sprawling Wayne Madsen at mid-off for 4.
By and large, it's been a tough watch tonight, folks. Thank you for sticking with us. Looks as if it may well be one of those campaigns that offered much after the first match. Notts getting home in a thrilling run chase, but we found it tough going since then.
Calvin Harrison attempts the same thing, but this time can't beat Madsen, and they just come through for 1. That brings up Outlaws 150. It's the penultimate ball of the 18th over. A few cheers, wasn't there? A few claps.
as you said earlier, it's a momentum thing, T20, isn't it?
Patterson White's attempted to play a ramp shot and it's gone through his legs.
You can have nights where even if you're not at your best, you still find a way to win. You can have other nights where you play well and you beat. Knots at the moment are seemingly lacking in confidence, but they're also, I don't know, they're just not quite executing their disciplines. Certainly in the bowling department, sometimes you think, I know it's a fast-moving game, but sometimes I feel you just need to just put the handbrake on for a moment and just have a little look where it's going wrong, and just try and unplug and plug it back in again and reset.
I think that's where competitions like this that come so thick and fast are so hard, because you don't, like, you might get 2 or 3, 4 days between games, but it happens quite rarely. So I mean, they've got a bit of a break next week, haven't they, for the 4-day stuff, so there'll be a bit of time to regroup. They're going really well in the 4-day comp. Captain Hasiva Mead will come back in, so it's a nice chance just to kind of regroup themselves as Pat Brown's going to finish his innings. Attempted reverse ramp and a bit of football skill from Pat Brown, but wide of the target, so just 1 run added.
Yeah, the last thing that Notts need to happen to them is that they lose some momentum for the red ball competition. Might even be worth 1 or 2 players perhaps being put in mothballs next week and it's being rested up and readied for the return of the Yorkshire game, the county championship game against Yorkshire here a week on Sunday.
In comes Pat Brown. Patterson White hits that straight up in the air. Pat Brown steadies himself under it and takes what is a very comfortable catch. So at the end of Patterson White, he made 13 off 19. He struggled, but to be fair, the game was gone by the point. He could have really come in and influenced it, to be fair to him. So
the Blaze have won. They've defeated Durham by 7 wickets with an over to spare, so 188 for 5. The Blaze 190 for 3, 81 from Tammy Beaumont, 39 from Catherine Price, 34 not out Heather Graham, 24 not out from Georgia Elwes. So that's a good bit of news from the women's side of things, who go top of the table. Here the men, I'm afraid, are going to stay 8th in the table with only Derbyshire below them, and it's going to be Derbyshire who are going to be celebrating in the next 2 or 3 minutes. But Rob Lord out there now on his T20 debut, got a wicket earlier. Now he's going to get the opportunity in the last over here, perhaps to get his first T20 runs. Let's hope so.
Yeah, fingers crossed for him. I'm sure it's not how he envisaged his debut going about. So Pat Brown in, Rob Lord on strike, and he is going to get his first run. Hits it to mid-off. I think it would have been tight had the fielder have thrown, but to be honest, he decided there wasn't much value in throwing that ball full pelt at the stumps at this stage of the game. Did Finn Hudson-Prentice. So 3 balls left in this innings. Outlaws requiring 48 from 3 balls, so I'd say that's, if not very unlikely, nigh on impossible, especially when Pat Brown's bowling like that. It's a beautiful Yorker. Not much Calvin Harrison can do with that one.
Hey, I've mentioned people leaving, but there's rather more left in the ground than I anticipated there'd be once Joe Clark got out, and then Tom Moores and Daniel Sams. A little bit of a procession. I think we've known the outcome over the last 20 minutes, but there's still a good 2,000 or 3,000 people inside the ground.
Yeah, they've stayed right to the end, haven't they?
Yeah.
It's good to see from the Outlaws fans as Brown comes in once more. Calvin Harrison squirts that away. He's going to run a single with square leg in the ring. Rob Lord's going to face the final ball of this innings. See if he can double his runs made in the Vitality Blast at the very least.
Well, if there's no runs from this ball, it will be a 46-run win for Derbyshire. And you'd have to say that's probably about right, isn't it? It's been another hefty defeat. Struggle to think where Notts have had their moments. Derbyshire have heavily outplayed their local rivals here. It's been, as we've said all evening, a long time since Derbyshire won here, but they're going to win this one.
Browning, Ernie Bolton, Rob Lord goes across to try and ramp, misses it, stumps Osblade, and Pat Brown's bowled well and deserved that. He finishes with figures of 4 overs, 2 for 35. Derbyshire Falcons win by 46 runs.
Yeah, as I said a moment or two ago, that's not really. Notts haven't really got any cause for complaint about the margin of victory there. Falcons quickly out of the blocks in and Aaron Donald have had the innings of the night. His 73 certainly set them up, and then the late punchy partnership between Ross Whiteley and Brooke Guest, getting Derbyshire up to 199 for 5, 3 wickets for Calvin Harrison. Notts needed a response, but straight away they were in trouble. They lost Lyndon James without scoring for the second time in the week. They were 1 for 1 then, 13 for 2 and 22 for 3 when Haynes and McCann each fell for 2. Joe Clark was dropped twice. One of them, I'm afraid, was a really nasty moment where wicketkeeper Guest and the spinner Gazanfar collided. It was a horrible sight, but fortunately it seems like no lasting damage. The match went on. Joe Clark made 59, Matthew Montgomery 27, but not a lot else, I'm afraid. It's another disappointing evening for the Trent Bridge faithful, Lucy.
Yeah, it was a bit of a tough watch, wasn't it? Unfortunately, I think you summed it up pretty well. They were, the Outlaws, outplayed.
Not to be then, Adam, at Trent Bridge. Not slipped to 2 and 4. Can quickly get back to winning ways tomorrow, but it's a tough place to go, Edgbaston, on a Saturday night. There'll be a big crowd in there. There'll be lots of noise from the Hollies. They've got to pick themselves up under the tutelage of Peter Moores and, of course, Joe Clark, who's out there now shaking hands with all the Derbyshire players. Samit Patel, understandably, very, very happy as he leads his Derbyshire side off. They've won here for the first time since 2013 by 46 runs.
Okay, so at the end of this game, it is the Falcons that take the victory by 46 runs. Brett Hutton joins me again. Brett, target was 200. Kind of just felt to me that potentially we lost wickets at wrong stages.
Yeah, I think that, everyone can see that. Chasing 200, you need a lot of things to go right, and like I say, we just lost a few wickets and a couple of clumps here and there, and it just stalled us and made what was already a difficult chase that bit harder.
Is the wicket of Freddie McCann and how that kind of unfolded kind of a symbol of the night, really, isn't it?
Yeah, one of those sort of bizarre dismissals that you know, nobody's really expecting, so it just sort of rattles around off the pads and then unluckily out. Yeah, and it, like I say, it's just one of those things that you don't see very often, and it seems to happen when things aren't going well.
We talked about it at the start of the show. Game again tomorrow, quick turnaround. You mentioned as a player you can't, you know, kind of dwell on things, but how important is it to maybe get away from home, actually, because you've had 3, you know, games at home, to go away and hopefully, you know, put in a performance against the Bears tomorrow? Yeah,
I mean, like I said, the good thing is that there's a game again tomorrow, so there's chance for the lads to put it right. You know, they'll be hurting, but away from home again, it's different conditions, different things, different challenges because of that. You know, we sort of should know what to do at home because we've played here, like I say, but the fact that there's another game tomorrow, yeah, it just gives chance for the lads to put it right, get onto that winning streak again and get us back on the board.
Well, I'm Peter Moore's head coach. I don't want to keep you too long, Pete, so you can come in now.
Thanks.
Just said to Brett there, felt like we maybe lost wickets in clumps or in stages tonight. Obviously a disappointing night. What's your kind of initial reaction to that?
It was a tough night because it doesn't get better than it was tonight. 25 degrees at Trent Bridge. We're playing Derby, local rivals. So, yeah, it was. We wanted to be good tonight. We certainly were frustrated when we didn't chase down the score against Yorkshire, and we can't have any complaints really. They outbatted, outbowled, and outfielded, I think, tonight. So I don't think there's any complaints at all.
At the halfway stage, me and Brett were talking. You know, target at 200. Run rate required 10. Did you kind of feel that was achievable at that point?
I think they were 20 over. Right. I think it was 180, similar to par the other night. When we played Yorkshire, I thought par was about 180. So when we kept it to 175, I thought we'd have hoped to have chased that against Yorkshire. I thought tonight they were 20 over, so we had to get out of the blocks quick, I think. Losing 2 early again put us under pressure. I credit to Joe Clark. He's playing really well at the moment. So I think Freddie McCann was unlucky. It's a bit of a bizarre dismissal, really, because he's played really well. So that put us under a lot of pressure. The partnership between Joe and Monty kept us alive. But you always know when you're chasing 200, 2 tight overs, and suddenly that rate turns from 10s, 11s to 13s, 14s, and it gets very difficult, which is exactly what happened. And they bowled better with us. You know, Samit knows Trent Bridge really well. Everybody knows that. I thought he bowled it really well. He hugged the wide line, or he got it underneath your feet. So he made it hard to hit, and credit to him, he bowled really well.
You mentioned Joe Clark there, and I was going to mention Joe actually. Back-to-back 50s for him. Kind of feels to me that he's 2 mature innings, really. You know, not going after it straight away, but very mature and kind of keeping us in with a chance there. What would you say about kind of the captain there in the back-to-back
Well,
games?
I think it's mature. I don't know if he went easy. I mean, he's got 50 off 20 odd balls each time, so he's played well. You know, I think he's made a decision. He's a better player when he's aggressive. Yeah. That's what I do, and I think last year, if he didn't have as good a season as he has at different times, it was more based on trying to be careful for the team and bat. I think this year, quite rightly, he's made the decision. If you bat up top, you take the game on, and he's done that. He's played really well, so I'm really pleased for him actually, because he's played well all year and he's starting to get his swing in the place he wants it to be. So that's exciting for us, that's for sure.
And another person to mention tonight, Rob Lord, making his debut. Obviously got the wicket of Samit Patel. I just spoke to him up there saying, you know, really, your first wicket, Samit Patel at Trent Bridge, you're going to remember that for a long time. But just a word on him and his debut tonight.
Yeah, well, credit to Rob. We signed him last year. He came from club cricket. He's done really well to move so far. He'll have learned a lot tonight about how to bowl here, how to play, you know, on a bigger stage, and he'll take a lot from it. I think we saw enough to say he's got pace. He's got a lot to offer. I think he'll tidy up some bits as well that I think will help him. And it's always an exciting night. You never forget your debut. That is for sure.
And just finally, game tomorrow at the Bears. I know the lads will be hurting. You'll be hurting. Everybody's hurting, obviously. But what can you say to the lads, maybe now or in the morning on the way to Edgbaston, just to, as a head coach, what do you say to them?
Well, like always on these, when you got back-to-back games, you've got to review on the go. I mean, I think the first thing is, I don't think we'll have to say anything about it not being good enough. I think we know that. We've got to step up, we've got to step quick. So we've got to find a way of controlling the tougher times of the game. So we've had challenges in power play, holding on to those tough overs, and certainly the back half of the game. So we've got to have a real look at it. We've got players who can play better than they are at the moment, I think, as well. We've also got people taking on roles they haven't always taken, so I give them some understanding of that, but it's about growing into that quickly. It'll be a tough game against the Bears, there's no doubt about that. We've obviously beaten them once already, so, you know, 2020 is a bit like that. You get some momentum, you win a couple of games, you can get yourself running, so we've got to stay very positive, be excited about playing tomorrow. It's an exciting day because it's that sort of multiple games to get the Blast. It always feels a bit weird getting underway when it's halfway through, but it should be good fun.
All right, well, thank you very much for joining us, and obviously wish you well at Edgbaston tomorrow. There's never a better chance to turn it around than the next day.
Absolutely, mate.
All
absolutely.
Right,
thanks Aaron.
Appreciate it. All right, we'll bring Brett Hutton back in just for a final word there, but thank you to the head coach Peter Moores for joining us. It's never easy to have that chat after a loss, is it really, Brett? But we just mentioned about Edgbaston tomorrow. We just mentioned it before, Pete, but I just said to him there's no better chance to turn it around than the next day.
No, absolutely. Like I say, it gives the lads a chance to have a little sleep, have a little think, and then come back tomorrow ready to go and hopefully turn over the Bears like we did here.
Indeed, indeed. And just finally from you, it's been a pleasure having you with me. Getting ready for the Red Bull game against Yorkshire next week?
Yeah, no, I've been doing all my stuff, ready to go, and hopefully we'll hit that one hard when we get a chance.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much for joining us, Brett. And that is it from us here on Trent Bridge Live. It's away games now for the next foreseeable future. But thank you very much for joining us this evening. It is the Falcons that take that victory. And as we've mentioned, the Outlaws are next in action tomorrow against the Bears at Edgbaston in the Midlands Mania. But from everybody here at Trent Bridge Live, thank you very much for your company and enjoy your weekend.